bubble. I've been hustling, man, they wanna have cover. My brother, so tell me, Mini Saniba, Sapana and Saba, and they wanna have cover. Sitting there, and hope I saw the Yamoka. On my knees, praying for blessings. Jaja, be you see the fire. Now for 17, I caught Tony pray. I thought mama was nice.
At different points in the evolution of culture, there are pivotal moments that mark the changes made in that culture. Sometimes it is a hard switch, one that may not have been expected or predicted, but is embraced immediately. Some also sneak into the culture. They move with a lot more subtlety, and their impact is felt but not recognized as much. I call these the drivers of evolution. In music, every now and then, there comes an artist or a group of artists who break the mold. They turn the page and take us onto another chapter. They cause a cultural reset. The thing about cultural reset is that people tend to be waiting for them. Sometimes subconsciously, like sometimes you can tell the pulse of the culture is like maybe dying a little bit and it needs something to revamp it, to revitalize it. And sometimes these artists or just these creatives, they come onto the scene and they just give it the needed energy, the needed new life that it has been waiting for. Or sometimes like the culture does not consciously know that it is waiting for something new. We maybe have not really started a conversation about it. We are not actively looking for it, but we can feel that we want it. Like the moment it comes in, we just, thank you so much for coming here. Where have you been all our lives? It is either due to, the coming of age of a certain generation, for example, Gen Z in this case, or some sort of redundancy and boredom in the cultural climate. Sometimes too, these artists are just so powerful in their message, in aura and in talent that it's hard not to make space for them. They come like a raging storm, if you will. In the history of Ghanaian hip-hop music, there are certain artists that one can associate with these changes at different points in time, from the precedents set by the orators in indigenous Akan folklore and communication, to Jeduble Ambule's incorporation of rhythmic spoken word and highlife music, to Reggie Rockstone's coining of the term hip life, which gave the already existing genre a more cultural definition, a language, an identification, if you will. To the likes of Obrafo and Achiame, adding more local lingo lyrical styles to the genre, to Sarkodie's mesmerizing gift of gab and fast rap, to Kwesi Arthur, who is the person that I'm going to be talking about today. Hi, my name is Nasiba. You're welcome to this video. I know it's been a while since I made one of these video essays, but honestly, this is like my favorite part of this whole thing. I love the music reaction aspect of it. I've done a few reactions and I do plan on doing more reactions, but I really love sitting back and listening to music and writing my thoughts on it and sort of paying attention to just music in general and the culture around it, and then coming to just yap about it. Thank you for joining me. Please remember to subscribe. I actually want to get to 1K by the end of this year. That's my goal, and so I'm just gonna make it generally that. So if you are watching and you've not subscribed, please subscribe. I don't know, like God will bless you. Please like and comment your thoughts. That's so important to me. Like I actually want to be having conversations with people about this thing in the comment section, so please do so and share so that more people can see. Today we are talking about
Hi everyone, this is Kwesi Arthur from Tema inside Ghana, West Africa.
Kwesi Arthur. Recently he was in the news, in the Twitter streets, for what seems to be a career change. Food review. When I say career change, I'm exaggerating, but really, like, there were videos, like when you go to his TikTok page, it's a lot of videos of him tasting food around and just reviewing them. It seems more like a hobby, but the internet did its thing and found a way to make it an event. They found a way to really drum up, the drama. This sparked a conversation about his fall off, quote unquote. There were a lot of fans in his comment section who were quite unhappy about his career pivot, in quote. It ranged from people begging him to go back into the studio and make music to people calling him John, like a loser. And they were hoping that he would go broke and be inspired to make the kind of music he was making when he had nothing. When he was on the ground and coming up, Charlie. I'm so sorry. But the thing is, Kwesi Arthur has fallen off. He has fallen off of people's pedestal. The one where he was projected to be one of the biggest rappers in Ghana. And not just in Ghana, he was expected to be one of the biggest rap exports outside of Ghana. Like, think how great, what's his name, Black Sherif is doing right now. That's what people thought Kwesi Arthur was gonna do. But I think people, you know, like, that's the thing about evolution, because people are thinking about like a build up and like a continuous climbing up the ladder and things getting better and better and bigger and bigger. And so when the next person is sort of like handed the baton, in Kwesi Arthur's case, when people really held him up as like the next rap messiah in Ghana, and he sort of did not really live up to that, people were so disappointed. One question that I hear people ask a lot is, where is Kwesi Arthur? Like, really, where is he? When Kwesi Arthur came out, he was compared to the likes of Drake because of his ability to really sing and really rap. He himself has mentioned Drake as an inspiration, and it's obvious even in the title of his songs, like 8 p.m. in Tema. Drake likes titling songs with time and place, like 5 a.m. in Toronto, 6 p.m. in New York, 6:16 in LA. Oh, he didn't make that song. The intersection of Kwesi's qualities meant that he could appeal to many sects of the music audiences. The hip-hop diehards, the R&B sappy sentimental people, even the high life lovers. He cut across. Plus, his voice is so beautiful. Paired with his infectious melodies, and he was quite the hot commodity when it came to hooks and features in general. I think Kwesi and his generation of rappers like Joey B, Papi Kojos, Lamem Gangs, Kofi Mole, Telinke, they brought a certain update to hip-hop and hip-life music that I think was really needed after South Korea's decade-long saturation in hip-hop music market. People were looking for something different, new, raw, and more relatable. And the thing about what I have observed is that the more successful artists become, the less relatable they become. Because I think that the most relatable trope in art in general is poverty. Not poverty, but started from the bottom, now we're here. The struggle is what people find most relatable, because most of the general audience that listens to music is really not that rich. I mean, most of the world is not rich. So you find that a lot of people that listen to music are not rich. And so if you come and you're like singing about your good life and stuff like that, it can be a little alienating if that's the only thing you sing about. And so when you insert humility, when you insert a story of struggle and, you coming from somewhere and stuff like that, people can relate to that more. South Korea, for example, I feel like obviously South Korea has managed to maintain relevance for a long time, but I don't really think that there are a lot of people that would say, oh, I find South Korea relatable. Right now, like in the music, a lot of, at least in this generation, they need their sort of like peer, someone they see themselves in, even in terms of like age bracket, who is maybe going through something similar. That's why people relate so much with Black Sherif. That's why back in the 2010s, people were relating so much with Kwesi Arthur, because a lot of people that were coming of age at that time were going through similar experiences as him. Maybe not as bad as him or not as good as he had, but it was around that. They were also coming up, and so there was something to relate to about it. Kwesi just had the it factor. Even though there were other rappers around that time, like maybe Medical, there was just something about Kwesi. To me, the it comprises actual talent, versatility, innovation, uniqueness, and most importantly, soul. Kwesi Arthur had all these. He is a very talented guy, He produces, he sings, he raps, he can do all that really well. He shows versatility in how he would fit into different genres and vibes. He can make a heartfelt like R&B song, then a hardcore hip-hop song about his struggles, then make some very nice high life gospel songs. I'm sorry. Or you make a very nice love song, or make you bust a move with an Azonto tune, which gave him mass appeal. In Ghana, if you can make people dance, you have their heart. He cut across subcultures and generations in Ghana. His sound was innovative, like I said, the fusion of contemporary hip-hop with high life and hip life. It wasn't the first time we had a rapper who also sang really well. But like I said, Kwesi Arthur came with a cultural and sonic update, catered to the new generation of hip-hop fans. His fusion of trap, melodic rap, and hardcore rap was very true to the state of hip-hop at the time, globally. This was the time of Drake's career peak. He released his biggest album to date, Views, in 2016. The time of Future, Travis Scott, Juice WRLD, all hip-hop rappers who incorporated melodic singing in their work. The time of trap. And Kwesi Arthur was the artist who succeeded in making it more mainstream and a lot more appealing to the masses in Ghana at that time. He had this fashion style of not wearing a shirt, which, like, thank you for blessing my eyes. Like, I never complained, okay? Like, even now, I'm like, why is he wearing a shirt? His voice is so unique that when another artist sounded just like him, I was personally creeped out. Kweku Flick and Kwesi Arthur are like vocal twins. It didn't make sense to me. And I think at that time, it felt a little, and some people said it, that Kweku Flick was copying Kwesi Arthur's singing style and his tone. Can't fuck with your man, them. Me a problem, you know. But I think that they just coincidentally sound similar, which is weird. Kwesi Arthur's freeform locks also added to his signature look. Kwesi Arthur's lock style was, it was like he just left his hair and he didn't comb it and it just grew out. I love the, like, when he would appear in videos, this tall guy and then his hair is just there. Like, Kwesi's love for music is, you can tell, he grew up on it. He grew in it. It grew in him. And it's obvious in how much passion he has for the art form, so much so that he fought for a chance to pursue it. Kwesi Arthur tells a story about how he volunteered to clean a studio, and in return he would learn how to make music from the owner of the studio, and the owner of the studio would allow him to use the studio. I don't know if this is exactly the story. I'm going to find a clip and insert it.
Okay. What am I saying? Okay. And at that point I was still making music. I was still writing music. And I'm in studio owner no kwaka say like obet me atwe me say na me recording ko for na mabobita. And like my service to him will be maybe miss proper honka kanka. And so we be recording recording na ya chase kana na baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Into no chere said yeah and I started chere.
But what is it about Kwesi Arthur aside from the it? When you bring it down to Ghanaians, what is it about Kwesi Arthur?
Nada go hear my voice. Uncle Nesasama, Miss Ramon Hammy with stupid noise. Had to tell these fools stop. That be when they get the point. If you cross the line, made me jail. You've made your choice. I keep my voice. Never give them the cold shoulder. Pray for enemies, but like how we go run them over. Make us a the hottest on the planet to my name. Mikey went to next year, we go pull up in the rover. It's over. No more pretending, no more pretending. How you go cross over other bridges, you burning. My name and go down to such as someone in the burning. Yeah, more friend lost.
During South Korea's reign, there were the likes of Joey B, EL, Lil Shaker, Gemini, even Kojo Q. Shoutouts. Most of these rappers I've mentioned were part of a collective called Skillions. According to their website, Skillions Global is an entertainment agency that provides talent management services, basically. It was founded in 1999 by two classmates, J-So and T-Cube. I was going to say K-Tube. J-So was left to build Skillions by himself when T-Cube moved to the United Kingdom. He recruited a group of artists, mostly rappers, so at some point in the early 2010s, EL, Gemini, Lil Shaker, Adina, Eddie Young, Kojo Q, and more were the artists that made up Skillions. Now, I bring up Skillions because I think they brought the pure Western hip-hop into the mainstream in Ghana. The kind of hip-hop that had very little or sometimes no local influences. Not sonically, not linguistically, not even culturally. They were making American hip-hop music and they were really good at it.
Into a lyricist, end of a revelation, beginning of a genesis. A prophecy that give birth, let the world remember this. Dad left me and my sisters since I was 7, and if he dies, who cares what the hell like.
But that style is too foreign for a lot of Ghanaians, so they couldn't really connect with most of the audience. Unless you grew up on or are a fan of hip-hop, American hip-hop, then the Skillions were not really appealing to you. And I think that's... I mean, I don't mean that all of the artists did not know how to add cultural inflections to their music. I mean, Joey B does it. Joey B has given us one of the best pop songs in Ghana. Tonga, Strawberry Ginger, You and Me, so many of these other songs. The song Princess. So, I mean, Joey B has always been that guy. Even EL... even Lil Shaker crap, but then when they started they were really presenting, they were giving you Beyonce and Jay-Z in the most Beyonce and Jay-Z form. Do you understand? Whereas I think, Sarkodie, for example, he's giving you Busta Rhymes, but quite also Busta Rhymes. But of course, these artists who added some local touches to their music, for example, EL made some very good Azonto songs. I mean, I think that EL... it's he made some of the best Azonto songs I heard growing up. Also, Azonto is not a dance move, or not just a dance move. It's a sound. Okay. EL branched out of the hardcore, pure English rap and made some high life Afropop songs and even spoke multiple local languages in his music. He would speak Ga, I think Ewe, even Pidgin, Ghanaian Pidgin. He ended up having a more successful career than the rest of the artists on Skillions. And that's because he adjusted and catered his music to the local audience. Take Manifest, for example, one of the best rappers in Ghana and Africa, but one that has not been able to really penetrate into the Ghanaian mainstream. And when I say mainstream, mass appeal mainstream, of course there are people who know. If you your music lover, there's a chance you know Manifest. But your provision shop or your beer bar, it's not really playing Manifest like that, unless maybe it's that song with Obrafo, who has mass local appeal. So you've got Manifest versus his contemporary, Sarkodie, the most popular Ghanaian rapper in and outside Africa. I could even argue he's one of the most popular African rappers ever.
Hype vanishing. Who gives a fuck about your chicken chain property? If being poor be like me.
What sets Manifest and Sarkodie apart is language. Not just language though, but a certain, not just cultural, but pop cultural appeal. Sarkodie raps mostly in Chi.
I'm from Tema, what the fuck did you think? Me pekasa, but I'm touching on a few things. Jai, illumination, I kocha cube links. Paula one man tem, the fame in for frono. I call out with the yacha, we need tongue, ya wo papa, we refi so betono.
Manifest raps mostly in English.
Fresh, I'm looking G. Yeah, they say dress how you want to be addressed. I'm really impressed, barely at my address. Like cancer in the chest, I'm trying to keep abreast.
There are other reasons like musical culturalization, which I think Sarkodie has over Manifest in the local department. What I mean by that is that Manifest could never make an album like Mary, a foundational high life and rap album, not only because of the language barrier, but also because he's not as seeped into the culture of high life like Sark is. High life, just like hip hop, is not just a sound, it's a lifestyle, it's history, it's an upbringing, it's culture. It is ironic because Manifest seems a lot more pan-African, like he's got that, there's just so much about him that just gives one Africa. That's what Manifest gives me, and I'm not even saying it to, he gives Nkrumah Arias here. Whereas Sarkodie gives you the guy who was playing the flute in that random high life band during the time of Nkrumah Arias here. So for me, Manifest's lack of local appeal does not take away from his Ghanaianness. If anything, it highlights how multifaceted and diverse we are as Ghanaians. And this is why, despite a lack of large mainstream success, Manifest is still one of our most respected rappers. He has built and maintained a loyal fan base that connects with his music and will buy tickets and go see him every year at manifestivities. There is a sect of the audience that resonates with and enjoys the pure English foreign hip-hop style because they're already huge fans of Western hip-hop. And when I say Western hip-hop, they listen to the Kendricks, the Vince Staples, the J. Coles, the Drakes, you know? And this is why Kwesi Arthur fit in. His essence is in the intersection between Sarkodie and Manifest. His musical culturalization is a mixture of hip-hop, hip life, high life, azonto, and R&B. He had it all pretty much. Kwesi could give you hard rap in Chi, switch it up into English with such ease, like within the same sentence.
Arthur, you know when we dance to 7 days, used to rap every second. Now I got it for days. Bring your favorites, my little homie spin around them for days. Yeah, I drop out of school, where I drop into grades. Yeah, our boy who see Kaya say I make maximum wage.
Then he would add some beautiful vocals to top it off. Like, he had it all. The only thing left was for him to bust it down or, you know, break into a dance move, you know, like a Michael Jackson or like a Slim Buster. Slim Buster, baby. So Kwesi Arthur had it, the cultural appeal. Another factor that worked in his favor was timing. By 2017, Sarkodie had been in the industry long enough that he was a household name. But the thing about people being a household name is that people are used to you. You're like that adverts that I'm used to seeing on TV. Like if Sasso Mosquito Coil and Spray adverts came on, I'd be like, oh yeah. Yeah, it's another day. But if there was a new ad, right, when I'm watching a few, right, and there's a new advert on TV, I'd be like, hey, me who's that advert way though? That was Kwesi Arthur. And every few years, the people hunger for something new, something contemporary, and someone just as hungry. Then came Kwesi Arthur. The music.
Go to the movies. Did that day. Can't fuck with your man them. Talk too much, me don't like them.
They say art imitates life, and music is one of the best attestments to that. One theme that is ever present in Ghanaian reality is struggle. For this reason, struggle is also the most ever present theme in Ghanaian music. Struggle is the most relatable theme in Ghanaian art, whether it is a gospel song like OJ's Obi Nyawaye or in a Kumawood movie like, I don't know, I think the title is Obi Diaba, or in a hip-hop song like Pizza and Burger, Mama Mary me Pizza, Mama Mary me Burger, Joe Ade Minya Nipa, Tianapa Ade Bread, or in high life like Daddy Lumba Sika, which, gosh, I love that song. Growing up, I thought it was a love song. I thought the person was like confessing love to their lover, not knowing it is actually or street art depicting hustle culture, or even in Ghanaian prose like The Grief Child. So when a rapper comes onto the scene with a backstory of struggle and a certain hunger to make it out of that struggle, he has covered half of the grounds needed to appeal to the people. In 2017, the person that did this and did it well was Kwesi Arthur. The first time I heard Grande, I was like, why is he so serious?
Yeah, make sure me way I forget it, get it. Me na come my head, just take a draw, my mentor the go, me person me blow. Monday.
Grande is Kwesi's breakout hit. It was one of the most infectious hip-hop beats I've heard still. Shout outs to K-Soul from Tema, who is not to be confused with J-Soul also from Tema. All my life I had to fight to figure out the difference between J-Soul and K-Soul. Can you imagine? Anyways, the song is from his first body of work, Live from Nkrumah Chrome 1. It's a 5-song EP with no features, which I really love. When an artist comes onto the scene in their first work and they just don't have any features and it's that good, you know that they are that bitch. Like, Kwesi Arthur was that bitch. The themes of hustle and struggle flow throughout the album, which is quite telling because Kwesi Arthur makes very good lover boy music. Songs like African Girl, 10 on the Lights, Nobody, they pull on the heartstrings of the listener. But this EP, having no love song, proves just how focused he was on his hustle in the beginning of his career. From Adiache to Devil Knocking, Kwesi Arthur is just clamoring for success. Whether he is speaking to the system or to God, whether he is begging calmly or he is aggressively demanding, the goal was to make it. And by the grace of the Grind Day remix, featuring Sarkodie and Medical, he did.
Walla to walla, so no food for lazy man, you for the struggle for rainy days. Mema go pay you my your cause excuses stand also survival in many ways. One cause I was here, woke up club, woke up papia, will rent and so pay your lady pays. Ushamia be pamba se kaye moja tina de bia yame wo baby.
Fun fact, I actually heard the remix first. I didn't hear the original song first. So it was actually the Grind Day remix that was his breakout hit. The Grind Day remix features rappers Sarkodie and Medical. Sark is the self-proclaimed hip-hop landlord. Sark became like a sort of spiritual leader in hip-hop whose endorsement new rap artists sought at the beginning of their career. Like a Roman father or an oracle, they went to him for blessings. But strategically speaking, a Sarkodie endorsement at that time, even now, meant exposure, maybe more so then than now. Artists that got blessed by Sarkodie through a feature or just an appearance in their music video either had a hit on their hand or they would receive enough exposure to get their next hit song. This is because Sark, until maybe the early 2020s decade, before Asaka and Afrobeats took over, he had the biggest market share in hip-hop and pop in general in Ghana. Like I said before, his presence in Ghanaian music was a saturation. He was everywhere. Sarkodie was everywhere. He was featuring on everybody's song. Everybody wanted to be on his song. Everybody wanted him to be on his song. He was doing all-star features. He was everywhere. Kwesi has this tradition of releasing an EP, like a little teaser, in preparation for the release of a full album. He did this before the release of both of his studio albums so far. He has just 2 studio albums. The first one is titled Live from Nkrumah Chrome 2 and the second one is titled Son of Jacob. I think these little EPs that he releases to tease the bigger album, they make it really fun to be a Kwesi Arthur fan. The first edition of this EP series came out in 2019 while he was gearing up to release his first album, Live from Nkrumah Chrome 2. By this time, he had been elevated to mainstream success. He had collaborations with Shatta Wale, Kiddy, Manifest, Mr. Easy, so he had everyone's ears. He had garnered a dedicated fan base. I have a few friends who are annoyingly obsessed with Kwesi Arthur, or at that time, it was really annoying the way that they were obsessed with him. Like, I got it, but it was still like, you're doing a little too much. Thus, there was a lot of anticipation for his upcoming album at that time, but he teased us with this EP instead. On 26th April 2019, Kwesi Arthur finally released Live from Nkrumah Chrome 2. The album, in my opinion, is Kwesi's best work so far. Every song was a statement made to prove his talent, his skill, and his versatility. Looking back on it though, I do wish it didn't have as many features. Some of the features include Mr. Easy, Stonebwoy, Sarkodie, South Africa's Nasty C. And the album itself, I would argue that it has like a few skips, but it's not one of those songs where you cannot listen to at all. It can grow on you if you actually give it a chance. They're not that bad. There were times when I just felt like this is a bit of a dip in energy on the album, and pretty much every album has that. So despite it has a few skips, but for me overall it's a solid statement of Kwesi Arthur's talent and hard work. I remember being so obsessed with the last song on the album. It's called Colors, just because of the beautiful vocals at the end of the song and the line, I see Kitty for CNN, be like BBC, right?
Fra, if you never wanna see me when I see Kitty for CNN, be like BBC, right?
I really like it because it sounds like he made a mistake, but he kept it in there. It may have been an intentional mistake, but it's nice. It tickles something in my brain. Debut album, second project, and Kwesi Arthur had established himself well enough in the cultural consciousness. So what went wrong? I actually think it started with COVID. COVID really scattered everyone and everything. If you didn't find a way to stay relevant during COVID, if you didn't make some drastic change to refresh the culture's mind, as far as you're concerned, you were looking at a steep decline in popularity, unfortunately. COVID marked a pivot in the world. Industries were changing, remote work took over, digital media consumption and production. Musicians were doing completely new things, virtual concerts, genre switches to fit in with the times. I can give examples. South Korea had that Seek virtual concert. Taylor Swift released Folklore and Evermore, which were just not very typical. And it was sort of like catered to the time of isolation. It was a very laid back album. A lot of other artists released similar albums like that. Some people also just laid low. They didn't release much. More music listeners joined streaming platforms like Spotify. So instead of downloading from illegal websites like, I don't know, GhanaTracks.com, people had these accounts and they were listening to music on streaming. And that's, I think, as far as like maybe like Ghana especially is concerned, I saw more people using streaming platforms. And it was also around that time that Spotify came to Ghana and they had like Ghana City subscriptions, and you know, we weren't paying in dollars anymore. But now, of course, Kwesi Arthur was definitely still a hot commodity around that time, and he rode the wave. He released a live performance recorded at Tema and produced by Audio Mac. It was on this tennis court. It was a very beautiful, very simple setup. And I think that it is one of his I think it's his best live performance that I have ever seen. He was featured on other people's songs. He was working with other people, releasing singles. But I'm an album person, so I didn't really pay attention to the singles that were being released. But something happened. Somewhere around that time, during the isolation period, someone's sex tape was leaked. It went viral. And the main character of and the guy in the sex tape, he looked like Kwesi Arthur. At least, like, if you look at him from afar, he had a very similar hairstyle with the locks and all that. So it just gave like Kwesi Arthur's signature look. And
like people were saying it was me.
You were the star.
Yes, like what? I was in there.
You were in there performing.
Yeah. Oh, I swear, they say I did perform, but it wasn't actually me. Mm-hmm. But the way the video was, like the person took it and like degraded the quality of the video, so you couldn't really tell. And the guy had dreads like me. Yeah, so you couldn't really tell. But even when the original high quality video was put out and like you could clearly tell it's not me, people were still being like, oh, it's me.
And a lot of people were saying that it was Kwesi Arthur. If you looked at it well enough, you knew it wasn't him. But just because the rumor started with him, the rumor started as him being the one in the video, it just went so far. Because of course, like, Ghanaians are excited that someone's sex tape leaked. Of course they're happy. And so it really became a hot topic for a couple of days. And the thing about is that, of course, especially for men, it doesn't tend to be a knock. It's not used to attack their person. It's not really used to shame them. If anything, people look at how you performed and they praise you for that. Whereas I guess, like, in comparison, if it was a woman, she'd really, like, her reputation would seriously be at stake. At the same time, this is a man who is a celebrity, and this is generally an intimate video. Even if it's not Kwesi Arthur and someone says it's Kwesi Arthur, it's very embarrassing. So I can only imagine how he was feeling at that time. But it wasn't long before he finally responded with a song titled Turn On The Lights, in which he sings about his dream girl who he wants to come into his life and save him from all of this drama. Turn on the lights, I'm looking for a boo. I just want to put my hands in someone's tattoo. For me, this song was one of the last Kwesi Arthur songs I truly enjoyed. To be fair, I started listening to a lot of international music and Ghanaian underground music, so I wasn't paying attention to the mainstream people at that time. Because there was something about how we were riding the Afrobeats wave that was starting to piss me off just a little bit. I just remembered Afro High Life, that EP that Kwame Eugene released. Why? That was so unnecessary. And like it makes no fuck. I don't have time for that. But Asaka was also gaining traction around that time, so I think it offers some sort of like antithesis. You know, like for me, the Asaka wave was so important in order to rein us in and remind us that as Ghanaians, the most interesting thing about our music is how experimental it is, not how well it can imitate. Despite my distraction, my ears were still pegged up for Kwesi Arthur. I was still interested. When he released This Is Not the Tape, Sorry for the Wait 2, in September of 2020, it was official that he was going to release an album soon. But it took a whole year and a half before we finally got the album. In comparison, the first This Is Not the Tape came out in January of 2019. 3 months later, the album was released. It also didn't help that Son of Jacob was not a strong follow-up to the first album. And Chroma Chrome 2 is a very good album. But I knew there was more that Kwesi Arthur could give us. Like if he really would search more musically, search more story-wise, search more, I felt like he could give us more. And so even though I really loved Nkrumah Chrome 2, I was still like, oof, I can't wait for you to top this because I know you can. But then Son of Jacob came out and I was like, I didn't really like Son of Jacob. I didn't like it. The only song I enjoyed was the first song, Drama. Drama. I like it. Like it was very, Kwesi Arthur, like melody, flow, all of that. I really liked it. But then he did a lot of, there were just so many songs that I was like, did this need to be on the album? Like, could you not get something else? But yeah, I really think that maybe not the final nail in the coffin, but when you have been riding on such a high and you don't find a way to properly like cement that, then it just goes it falls flat. And that is in American music, it's called the sophomore slump. It's a term used mainly in the US to describe a decline in performance of certain activities or endeavors, usually after a strong initial start. It is mostly used in academia for when second year students get exhausted from the highs of the first year studies. In music, it is used similarly, but sometimes your second album doesn't do well, not because you didn't put enough work. It's just that sometimes the first album was so good and it set the bar so high that you simply could not beat it with your second album. But I really don't think that was the case for Kwesi Arthur. Like I said, Nkrumah Chrome is good, but I don't think it's anywhere near the best that Kwesi Arthur could have given us. But then, after a while, in 2023, the next high-profile thing that we hear about Kwesi Arthur was when he was involved in a beef with his manager, colleague, the guy who does his intros, Big Homie Flea.
I paid that, Shaquana, I paved that, men said that. And if I do, yo, I go shake back, you know that. Used to bang the iron for my mean church clothes. If it wasn't for prayers, I'd probably be doing a jail pose. If we lungu, I'd see in Honolulu. Hey, yo, Fred and I alchemized and mixed with a little Kululu.
In 2023, he released the Pain Interlude song, which many thought was a diss track to Big Homie Flea. Big Homie Flea is one of the members of the Ground Up Charlie movement or collective. Kwesi Arthur called him a bitch in the song. Well, Yeah, he did actually.
My big homies tend to bitch homies, what be next? I know if you dwell on regrets, fuck every wine. Lately, I know if you they sleep, you're trapping all the time.
I was gonna say, well, it's not confirmed, but he even apologized. He apologized later on that he was sorry for, doing all of that, and he wanted peace to reign, He has seen the lights, Kwesi in that song alluded to being betrayed by certain people we assume are some people in the Ground Up Chale movement. But right now, Kwesi Arthur actually has an EP out. It's titled This Is Not the Tape 3, which means that the fourth album is coming, which means that the third album will be coming out soon, because like I said, This Is Not the Tape is usually a teaser for an album that's to come. But that was also released somewhere last year, and we are almost at the end of this year and we've not seen any album. So now I'm like, honestly, now that I think about it, I understand why he didn't release, or rather I think it was a good thing that he didn't release an album this year, because I think for hip hop in Ghana here, this year has been pretty competitive. There were the Kwaku Smokes, Ara the Jays, Black Sheriffs, all of these people releasing, and they really have taken up space. And I would say that unlike back then when Kwesi Arthur was on, he was like one of the people at the top, or like one of the people that you would be scared to release around the time he was releasing. But now you have the Kwaku Smokes and Black Sheriffs, and I think they are the ones who are dominating the space currently. Now that's not to say that Kwesi Arthur is not doing well. His numbers are pretty good in Ghana here. I think he was the 4th most streamed artist in Ghana this year on Spotify, and that definitely is something. It is actually a lot. He may not be making as much noise as he used to, but I think he's found a certain steady groove, and I think that if they play their cards well, if the next album does what it needs to do for the hip-hop audience, he will be able to finally sort of capture them the way that he did back then. And so I'm looking forward to what Kwesi Arthur has for us in 2026. I hope that he releases that album in 2026, and it had better be good. It had better be good, not like, this is not a threat or anything, but like I just need it to be good, because you just can't have albums that don't hit the mark back to back. In conclusion, Kwesi Arthur is not doing that badly. He is not even doing bad. He's just not on the kind of high that people expected that he would be on at this point. But that's the thing about pedestals. Whether you put yourself on there or other people do it for you, you generally don't have as much power over it as you think you do. You are but an archetype, a pair of feet being forced into decades-old shoes, an entertainer responsible for fulfilling the fantasies and hope of a culture. Your humanity does not matter as much, and that is a problem. How many of our stars have we watched fall to the mercy of vices and demons they were quietly battling, while still jumping up and down stages to give us electrifying performances? How many have we seen invest so much of themselves and their lives and gain close to no livelihood? The music industry globally, it's hard. It tends to take more than it gives. The Ghanaian music industry, it's worse. So if someone is dealt a bad hand and they decide to switch gears and move in another direction that serves them more, then good for them. In the song Colors, Kwesi Arthur raps, "Nkrofo P say I be lucky, but I fear see what they did medical, papi." It's hard. Like, you really think that people like you and you think, like, you really are the guy. And then they'll just knock you off so quick. The audience also has to take some accountability for the role we play as energy vampires, honestly. I feel like the way that the expectations that we have of them can be a bit dehumanizing. I've said that, being celebrated on a mass scale, being, a public person, it can be really rewarding. It's inherently dehumanizing, because people not really seeing, okay, maybe this guy is like going through a lot, or not everybody gets to have a long run of greatness. Do you understand? For some people it's short and it's brief. For some people it's not that long. For some people it's long. But it never takes away from what the person gave you when they gave you what they gave you. And so it's important to understand that. And so for me, regardless of, whatever happens with Kwesi Arthur's career, as long as he still makes music that is good, whether it gets into the mainstream or it doesn't, it does not take away from, him being a good artist. And I think more people need to have this kind of mindset, because I think a lot of people tend to just like something when it's popular. But there's so much that is good in Ghanaian music that is not popular, that you guys are missing out on because y'all just want to jump on like bandwagon so you can look and feel cool. Anyways, this is it. Watch out for the next one, which will come out in January. Subscribe, please.